Hello, and welcome to the first IndieNational Podcast with Ewen Hosey and me, Colin Scott.
The IndieNational Podcast is a fortnightly appraisal of the main stories, releases and previews relating to independent and international cinema, not just for those in the know, but also for those who want to broaden their horizons.
For the first movie since 2004's disappointing and let's face it, pointless Lady Killers, the brothers Coen return to the somewhat familiar territory of movies like Blood Simple and Fargo. Barren landscapes, stark dialogue and eerie silence accompany the audience in this tale of bloody murder. Hunter Llewellyn Moss, played by Terminator in waiting Josh Brolin, discovers a drug deal gone bad and with it a case carrying $2 million. He decides to take money and in doing so finds himself the target of brutal bounty hunter Anton Sugar. What follows is tense and bloody, yet strangely melancholic cat and mouse chase as our two leads travel through Texas and Mexico towards perdition. The Coen brothers have crafted a dark and brooding film, filling their empty desert landscapes with, well, very little to be honest, yet every shot is engrossing, drawing you more and more into the film. Every throwaway confrontation that Moss and Sugar have with your typical Coen characters seem to invest so much into the film, whether a simple motel clerk or in one particular standout scene, a shopkeeper. The story of the main characters and the morals therein are what drive the picture and raise its most interesting topics, with supplementary characters like Kelly MacDonald as Moss's wife and Tommy Lee Jones' sheriff present to reflect the carnage with some humanity. Although hard work at times, the film rewards with the viewer tenfold for their commitment. Much has already been said about Javier Bardem's performance as Sugar, but as fantastic as he is, No Country for Old Men is much more of an ensemble piece with excellent performances from Brolin, MacDonald and especially Tommy Lee Jones playing a tough but helpless sheriff trying to mop up the mess. The performances are perfectly suited for this Coen brothers vision, which retains their usual brilliant dialogue and that brutal black humour, a return to form.
This is possibly the brothers' most mature work to date, free from much of the self-consciousness of previous efforts. For me, Javier Bardem is the standout, but Josh Brolin and Tommy Lee Jones both turn in performances with a quiet intensity. In fact, that's how you could describe most of the film. Quiet but intense. There's barely any music and entire scenes are absent of dialogue. The dialogue is brilliant, and made more so by its economical use. Without spoilers, much has been made of the film's ending, which initially had me baffled but I eventually learned to warm up to. No Country presents a world without absolutes, and this is reflected perfectly by the ambiguous nature of the climax.
And of course, Josh Brolin appears to be making a name for himself after years in the wilderness with Planet Terror, American Gangster, this, and In the Valley of Elah.
But of course, for me, Brad Walsh from The Goonies will always be the pinnacle of his career. Here's the news. Poor old Terry Gilliam has never been too lucky on his film projects, and his new directorial venture, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, is no exception. Following lead actor Heath Ledger's untimely death on January 22nd, the future of the film has been questioned, much in the same way the filming of his Don Quixote project was shut following lead actor Jean Rochefort's sad illness. Some skeptics suggest that Warner Brothers are embarking on an insidious campaign to promote the upcoming Batman film The Dark Knight as Ledger's last project, but regardless of these worries, Dr. Parnassus will not be shut down.
As already mentioned, Terry Gilliam is no stranger to filmmaking problems. Universal severely cut Brazil to give it a happy ending, forcing Gilliam to conduct private screenings which led to a Film Critics Award and a hasty retreat by the studio. Then came the adventures of Baron Munchausen, the disastrous filming of which resulted in a movie which cost over twice its original budget and subsequently flopped. Gilliam then decided to start documenting these ventures as a means to free himself from blame. Lost in La Mancha is the documentary following Gilliam's attempts to film Don Quixote, and the entire production comes crashing down around Gilliam's head from the moment the camera rolls. Initial trouble with unrehearsed extras and changing cloud cover can be forgiven, but hailstorms in the desert washing away equipment, fighter jets practicing overhead, and saddest of all, a lead actor with crippling illness, it all gets too much. As a result, telling the story of Don Quixote is almost like telling the story of Terry Gilliam himself, as he morphs into his subject, convinced he can finish the film against all the realities around him. This month's guilty pleasure is still Sweeney Todd, which sees indie supporter Johnny Depp swap Keith Richards for David Bowie with his performance as a revenge-fueled titular character in Tim Burton's bloody and macabre musical.
Okay, so Cloverfield is out, and the clamouring regarding the monster has died down. Internet Geekdom had a field day with conspiracy theories regarding the elusive nature of whatever lumbering behemoth was laying waste to New York this week, with arguments ranging from Cthulhu to Voltron. As it turns out, imagination has failed to win out in this instance, and once again it's a big lizard thing. I had hesitations about the filming style, recorded entirely from the perspectives of the central characters themselves. I'm worried that it would be a gimmick, although one which had been previously employed to great effect in the Blair Witch Project. In Cloverfield, a big monster arrives in New York, and a small group of young, attractive professionals spend their night trying to survive. The majority of the action is filmed by comic relief HUD from his digital camera. Sometimes this conceit fails to work entirely, but the film itself is tense, and there's an obvious audience kick out of the devastation reaped on wealthy Manhattanites. If Cloverfield fails to inspire on the B-movie with pretensions front, then I'd recommend Boon Jong-ho's 2006 thriller The Host, which ranks in my top tier of monster films made in the last 20 years. Hailing from South Korea, The Host is a superb, energetic and quirky take on the monster movie fable. Whereas the other Far East beast, Godzilla, embodied American nuclear deployment in Japan, and JJ's monster reprises memories and fears of the 9/11 attacks, The Host's creation reflects upon the reckless attitude of man towards the environment. But don't let social commentary put you off, because this exciting tale is all about heart. In Seoul, a dysfunctional father rallies to track down the beast after receiving a garbled mobile call from his teenage daughter Hyun Seo, who he presumed had died after being snatched away. As the family learns to overcome their differences for the sake of the girl, the US military intervenes in an attempt to catch the beast and messes things up royally. It's got a lot more comedy than Cloverfield, but equal amounts of awe.
The Host works brilliantly because you genuinely care about the characters and want to see them survive, unlike the irritating and whiny New Yorkers in Cloverfield. That's it for this issue. Thanks for downloading, and we'll speak to you next time. Bye.
Ta-da!